What would you do if the man sleeping with your wife had keys to every room in your house? I never thought I'd be asking myself that, not in my quiet suburban home. The night everything broke was a Tuesday, 2 a.m. A text message I wasn't meant to see. It was from a number I didn't recognize, a picture attached. His uniform was unmistakable. It was the Exterminator, Mark, the one who'd been coming to our house for months. The one I'd trusted with access to our most private spaces. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat. The image burned into my retinas, a silent scream trapped in my throat. I knew, in that instant, my life was shattered. The man who held the key to my home also held the key to my wife's betrayal. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. The days that followed were a blur of forced smiles and internal agony. Sarah, oblivious to my discovery, moved with unsettling lightness. Her phone, once an open book, was now guarded, face down on tables, always within reach. Late-night calls became frequent, hushed whispers from the other room. She started dressing differently, a new perfume, a spark in her eyes that wasn't for me. I watched her, a stranger in my own home, the woman I'd loved for 15 years morphing into someone I barely recognized. The humiliation was a physical weight, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. Started noticing the small things. A receipt for a fancy dinner at the Oak Room in downtown Dallas, tucked into her purse. A new, delicate silver bracelet on her wrist, not from me. The way she'd flinch if I touched her unexpectedly, a subtle recoil. My mind raced, piecing together fragments, each one a fresh stab. The Exterminator Mark had been at our house last week. He'd been overly friendly, lingering a little too long, his eyes darting towards Sarah. I dismissed it then, a professional being polite. Now, it was a sinister detail. Sarah became cold, manipulative. When I tried to talk, she'd deflect, accuse me of being paranoid. "You're imagining things, John," she'd say, her voice laced with an icy calm that chilled me to the bone. "Maybe you're just stressed." She'd turn my pain against me, making me doubt my own sanity. Mark, the Exterminator, seemed to grow bolder. I saw his truck parked a few blocks away from our house one afternoon, long after his scheduled visit. He'd wave a smug grin on his face, as if he knew something I didn't. They felt untouchable, flaunting their affair. Under my nose, in my own home, I hit rock bottom, spent nights staring at the ceiling, the betrayal, a constant loop. The image of Sarah and Mark, the keys to my house, the intimate spaces they'd defiled. I felt hollowed out, a shell. But in that darkness, a cold resolve began to form. I wouldn't just leave. I would make them pay. I would dismantle their world piece by piece, just as they had dismantled mine. My revenge began subtly. Installed hidden cameras throughout the house, focusing on entry points and common areas, careful to avoid private spaces. I hired a private investigator, a discreet man named Frank from a small office in a strip mall off Mockingbird Lane, to track Sarah's movements. He provided me with detailed reports, timestamps, and photographs. Sarah meeting Mark at a secluded cafe in Uptown, their hands intertwined. Sarah's car parked outside a motel. I meticulously documented every text, every call, every suspicious receipt. I consulted with a divorce attorney, a sharp woman named Ms. Davies, whose office overlooked the bustling streets of downtown Dallas. She advised me on Texas marital property laws, on grounds for divorce, on how to build an airtight case. I learned about community property, about fault-based divorce, about the legal ramifications of adultery. I was no longer just a broken husband, I was a strategist, building a fortress of evidence. The traps were set. I waited for the opportune moment. It came during a charity gala Sarah was organizing, a high-profile event. As Sarah stood on stage, I initiated the public exposure, an anonymous email containing a link to a cloud drive. Filled with irrefutable evidence, the photos, the videos, the detailed reports from Frank was sent to every board member, every major donor, and the news reporter. The email also included a copy of the divorce papers, citing adultery, and detailing Mark's involvement, complete with his Exterminator company's name. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. Sarah's carefully constructed world imploded. The news story broke the next morning, splashed across local headlines and social media. The charity disavowed her, her social circle evaporated, and her reputation was in tatters. The divorce proceedings were swift and brutal. With the overwhelming evidence, she lost everything: the house, most of her assets, and her standing in the community. Mark, too, faced consequences. His company, facing public backlash, terminated his employment. He disappeared from Dallas, his smug grin replaced by a look of utter defeat. I watched it all unfold from a distance, a quiet observer. There was no triumph, no joy, only a profound emptiness. The revenge was complete. It hadn't brought back what I'd lost. I sold the house in Dallas, the one filled with so many memories. I moved to a small anonymous apartment in Houston, the city lights a constant indifferent hum outside my window. The silence was deafening, a stark contrast to the chaos that had once consumed my life. I was free, but the freedom felt cold, heavy. The keys to every room in my life had been stolen, and even after I got them back, the locks were forever broken. The end.